Hello and welcome to Daily Prayer today. Glad that you are with me. We're working our way through the book of Revelation, continuing on in Revelation chapter 13. Let's go ahead and get started first with a beatitude. Blessed are those who weep, for their tears will be wiped away. Join me in a prayer for awareness. Light, golden light, fresh from the source. Colors, creation's colors, calling our senses. Life in its oneness, all from you. You are the sun from whom the morning shines. You are the river in whom each life form flows, each face, each race, each cell within our living soul. This new day, we greet you. Now I invite you to be still and aware in a centering breath prayer. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Our reading for today is Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 to 18. Listen for God's word to speak. Then I saw another beast that rose out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and it makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in the sight of all. And by the signs that it is allowed to perform on behalf of the beast, it deceives the inhabitants of the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that had been wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could even speak and cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be given a brand on the right hand of their forehead, so that no one can buy or sell who does not have the brand, that is, the name of the beast or the number for its name. This calls for wisdom. Let anyone with understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a person. Its number is 666. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. All right, so we are continuing on in the sort of vision of the beasts and the dragon and all this sort of stuff. We had the beast that appeared, who has 7 heads and 10 horns. And now we have this second beast that rises up out of the earth. It has 2 horns like a lamb. This very much, I think, is intended to point back to this idea of the lamb at the beginning of the book of Revelation, sort of one who pretends to be in the place of Jesus. Yet it speaks like a dragon, and it exercises authority of the first beast. And then it talks a little bit more about that. Primarily what the work here is that it calls people to worship the beast, even so much as allowing images of the beast to be able to speak and order people to be killed, and that people have to have a brand on their wrist or on their head in order to be able to participate in commerce, sell in the marketplace. The name of the beast, or the number for its name, is 666 or 616. Both are present in various manuscripts and that sort of thing. We have both of them. So what is this about? Again, back to an expectation that I have, the lens through which I am seeing this text is that primarily its fulfillment is in the first century. This is most likely in reference to sort of the ministers and the sort of like lower authorities to Caesar that would cause worship of Caesar to occur. There were various times in which everyone in a marketplace, especially in big cities, would have to give their allegiance, would have to participate in worship of the Caesar in order to be allowed to participate in commerce, in buying and selling things. And so these sort of, I don't remember what they were called, but these sort of folks who were given this authority to make sure that everybody worshiped Caesar in order to just participate in everyday life. Now, that obviously is a real issue for those who are Jewish, for those who believe that Jesus is the Messiah and that Jesus is Lord, that if they are giving their allegiance to the Caesar, that is seen to be a betrayal. And so there is this real question. Are you going to give allegiance to the beast, or are you going to give allegiance to Jesus? And this number 666 or 616, again, these are very, both of these are present in various manuscripts, is what we call gematria. It is a way of, in the ancient letter alphabets, there was no such thing as separate numbers. So you had, eventually what got closer to our understanding of numbers would have been the Roman numerals, X, XI, VI, all those sorts of things, which are, again, taking letters, but there's a mathematical sort of way of putting those numbers together. Before that, it would be alpha or aleph would be 1. It would be. I'm forgetting my Greek and Hebrew alphabet off the top of my head because that's, anyways. So all of those letters would count for numbers. Okay. Which means that all of the letters have a numerical value. So gematria is the practice, and this would have been going on at this time and before, is you take, that means that there is a number value for every word. So you take that, you take the numerical value, and then you have this sort of way of connecting things. It could be a secret code. It could be all of these different things. And so it's kind of like Bible code. You're probably familiar with that idea, which takes this idea of gematria sort of way to the next level. And there are all sorts of things that you can do and forge connections there where this word has the same numerical value as this word. And so they seem to be connected in this text, all of that sort of stuff, right? You can get real kooky with it, but at this time, it seems like it was being used as a way to communicate something that you wouldn't want to communicate boldly. Specifically, the name Nero, who was one of the Caesars and probably one of the worst for the Christian church. Nero was cuckoo nuts. And his persecution of the early church was most of the idea of persecution that we have of the early church. This would be feeding people to wild animals. This would often be like he would take Christians and light them on fire for his garden parties. not quite the ambiance that I would want for a garden party, but that's what Nero wanted to do. He was crazy. You probably have heard about Nero playing the fiddle while Rome burns. Part of this was the Great Fire of Rome, which took out quite a lot of the city. He seemed to not be super bothered by, and he said that it was the Christians who had started that fire, and then claimed a bunch of land and built, I think, a Colosseum or something. I don't remember what he built, but he built something and sort of rebuilt the city, that area, in his image, the way that he wanted it to be built. And several historians suggest that it was actually him who started the fire in the first place. Anyways, the name Nero, depending on which alphabet you are using, comes up with a numerical value. In Greek, I believe it is 666, and in Latin, it is 616. So, not only is this a clear connection to Nero and a reason why you would have these numbers, but also evidence that it was known this is what this means, because when it was translated into Latin, they didn't just keep the same numbers. They changed the numbers so that it made sense in Latin. So once again, we're pointing directly to leadership of the Roman Empire at the time that the author here is calling this great beast, the one that has been sort of brought into life by the ancient serpent dragon, one who calls people to worship in order to engage in economic prosperity. So this idea of branding, this idea of taking the sign of the beast, is very much connected to first century marketplace practices that expected an allegiance to Rome, and specifically Caesar, in order to participate. Now, of course, our evangelical siblings have suggested all sorts of other things. I've heard lots of different explanations of what this could be. Oftentimes, this idea of 666 as this sort of sign of the beast is really a powerful one, right? It is expected to be a number with great bad luck, and that sort of thing. And the sort of idea, sometimes you will hear about, you have not only the beast, but also sort of the minister or the priest that asks for worship for the beast. You also have things like, I believe in the Left Behind series, the beast ultimately is a supercomputer, not too far off from some of the way that we're building AI. So that's kind of interesting as well. And this idea that of a leader that is so sort of egomaniacal that you have to give allegiance to him in order to participate in the economy, to participate in the world. Again, I think the fulfillment is in the first century, but we can imagine such things. We can imagine such a leader with such a small ego, or such a huge ego and a small sort of, I don't know, that would expect such things. Who could imagine such a thing? And of course, like, I don't know, there's also part of me that wonders, these are crazy visions, right? We now have a dragon and two beasts that have come out of the world. And I have toyed around with the idea of sort of a science fiction story in which these things are literally true in a way that people would not have even imagined. But anyways, it is a reminder that the systems and structures that we participate, and maybe even most purely the economic systems that we participate in, there's some things going on there that maybe we don't want to be a part of. Here, participating in an economic system of the marketplace requires the worship of Caesar, of the beast. I would argue that our current economic situation, the system of capitalism that we find ourselves in, and especially sort of, one might say, late stage capitalism, drifting into techno-feudalism, there's quite a bit of allegiance and worship that goes along with that. Worship of egomaniacal people who have entirely more than they possibly could want or need. And the way that they consume like beasts, like dragons, normal people. How giving allegiance to this system that actually draws us away of maybe the systems and the structures that we are supposed to live in, like communities, where we take care of one another. To give allegiance, to give worship to a system in which we see each other as commodities, where we are farming ourselves out, where people are making money on our attention, on our clicks, on mining our behaviors so that they can sell us or sell advertisements. We're like Scooby-Doo, looking for clues, finding the whole world is a mystery and that we are the enemy who have created a system that is eating us alive. But, I invite you to take some time to consider, to pray, to meditate, to journal. When you're ready, we'll join our hearts together in prayer. For the freshness of this new day, thanks be to you, O God. For morning's gift of clarity, its light like the first day's dawn, thanks be to you. In this newborn light, let us see afresh. In this gateway to what has never been before, let our soul breathe hope. For the earth, for the creatures, for the human family, let our soul breathe hope. We lift now our silent prayers for peace. Now join in a prayer of blessing. On this day, the blessings of heaven. On this day, the blessings of earth. On this day, the blessings of sea and sky. To open us to life, to ground us in life, to fill us in life, to fill us with life and with wonder. On those we love this day and on every human family, the blessings of heaven, the blessings of earth, the blessings of sea and sky. Thank you for joining me today for daily prayer. Join me tomorrow for some more. Like this video, share it with someone else, click on the subscription and the notification button. Go to our website, standrewspc.com, for more information. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If you happen to be watching on the day this comes out, it is gorgeous Grandma Day. Hot enough for you day. National Refreshment Day, National Shiraz Day, National Vanilla Ice Cream Day, Peanut Butter and Chocolate Day, Sprinkle Day, World Sjorgens Day, and yada, yada, yada day. Our liturgy today came from Praying with the Earth by John Philip Newell. Our reading came from the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. And yeah, that's enough for me, I think. Have a great day. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.